So we're doing a random
cast.
cast of a show that we're going to start watching. It's
Yep.
called The Pretender.
And apparently it's from the 90s. So apparently it's like readable because it's slightly 90s retro.
But not readable.
Not readable, yeah. What?
You're not reading a TV show.
Right, so we just watched the first episode of this show. Now...
So the premise of the show is a place called The Center basically took this kid who has the ability to become anything he wants to be. Now he's older, and he's escaped from the center because he wants a life. And he's taken his talents into helping people who need help.
Yeah, so, okay. And, really glossed over the part where he can be anything he wants to be. This guy has, like, a psychic ability to become any career or any, like, ability.
It's not a psychic ability. They actually based it on an actual person who is able to read up on anything and, like, become that. So he could read up on being a doctor, and he could become a doctor. He could read up on being, like, an engineer, and he could become an engineer. He was called, like, the Great Pretender or something.
How much of the show have you watched?
Every single season, several times.
Okay, so having watched the first episode, it seems to me like this guy has some kind of weird psychic ability where he can just look at people and put himself in their place and figure out how they're going to feel about a certain subject, and like make an emotional connection. And on top of that, he can also like figure out everything about their job. Like, there's one scene where he reads a medical text and he figures out how to become a doctor. But aside from that, it really does seem to be all intuition. So, thank you with your perspective of having rewatched this failing show that barely made it like 5 seasons over and over again. But from my point of view, this is what I saw watching the first episode and nothing else.
It had 4 seasons and 2 movies. And also they tried to bring it back with 2 books they released a few years ago. Saving Luke and something else. And they were awful, awful books.
Okay, so in the first episode, he pretends to be a doctor. He's really upset that a little boy has had a really bad malpractice where he becomes paralyzed. He shouldn't have been paralyzed. And so he infiltrates the hospital and he tries to figure out what exactly happened. Why did this happen? And it turns out that the director of the hospital has been covering up all the malpractices in order to be able to sell to, whatever, the highest bidder and make a lot of money. And as a result, he's been covering for one of their doctors who is an alcoholic. He drinks on the job and he botches operations all the time, and the hospital director just covers for him because he has to. Otherwise, their malpractice, rate goes way up and nobody's going to want to buy the hospital. And he's not going to make his millions of money and retire rich or whatever.
What do you think of the center where Jarod escaped from?
Whatever, it's just a dumb premise. Apparently, though, his captor, the guy who's been like his handler this entire time, Sydney, now feels regret because he didn't know that he was lying to Jarod, the main character, about his family past. The fact that he was keeping him captive this entire time might have been a little bit worse. But now, suddenly, that he's find out that also he's been lying to him about his past, and maybe he's a little bit more hurt about the fact that he's been lied to about Jared's past. He's suddenly a little bit on Jared's side, and it's like, come on.
Well,
okay.
He was sort of a dad figure. He saw Jarod as a son, and he just kept him around.
Yeah,
So
Stockholm Syndrome.
Yes, there is severe Stockholm Syndrome.
Reverse Stockholm Syndrome.
There's both.
Whatever. Yeah, so, because Jared goes and seeks him out or whatever. Anyway, the show's kind of stupid, but, whatever, I guess.
What about Miss Parker?
Who's Miss Parker?
The lady that's really hot.
Oh, Scully? Whatever, Scully with heels. Honestly...
Scully wore heels. It's the thing. Scully always ran down alleys in heels.
Yeah, great.
And it never made any sense.
You know what? This is just exactly like... What's the book series we're reading now?
Fear Street?
This is exactly like Fear Street.
How is this like Fear Street?
Because it's stupid, and I, like, automatically, after watching this, downgrade every Fear Street review by 1 point. So, The New Girl is now a 1-star review.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Wait,
exactly.
happened?
And The Surprise Party is now a 2-star review. This just happened. It's official. Yeah, the 90s are a pretty dumb decade. I can't believe I grew up.
A lot of great things came out of the 90s. The X-Files came out in the 90s. That was a great show.
The X-Files were good.
Stargate came out in the 90s.
You know what? Why
That was a great show.
aren't we watching the X-Files? Why are we watching Fear Street Files, or what is this called? The Pretender Street? Okay, yeah.
Because I'm sure there are way too many good X-Files podcasts out there.
Right. And so therefore we need one more podcast, but this time about a topic that no one's covered yet, which is apparently The Pretender.
Yes.
Oh, we are filling a niche.
A niche market.
A niche market. If you guys are Pretender fans out there, I apologize for everything I just said. What a great show. Wow. I look forward to watching more episodes. Please subscribe.
I was always a fan. I own all the DVDs. And actually, because I didn't have cable when the TV movies aired, I had someone record it off the TV for me. Which I think might be illegal, but still.
Yeah. The stream we just watched looked like it just got recorded off a TV.
I actually recorded off the TV when I watched it as a kid. I would record Stargate, I would record The Pretender, and I would record ER. But then ER ran forever and I stopped recording it.
On that note, the next episode looks like it's going to be about him crashing a plane because he doesn't actually know how to fly it.
He knows how to fly a plane.
Oh, he read a book once. You know what?
Yes.
I used to, like, play Flight Simulator. I bet I could fly a
You're
plane.
not a pretender. You don't have that innate ability. The opening scene is of Sydney saying, wow, 36 hours, and he's already shown more potential than any of the others.
Are you saying I'm stupid?
Yes. On that note, thanks for listening.